On today's episode of Let's Talk Cabling, we're talking certifications again. This one is about computers. So come with us as we interview somebody who has some certifications.
Don't hang up that phone. We've found what you're looking for. Welcome to the Let's Talk Cabling podcast with Chuck Bowser, RCDD. Well, seeing how we're pulling Category 6A, the most powerful twisted pair in the world, you got to ask yourself this one question. Did I pull 295 or 300 feet? Well, do you feel lucky? Do you, punk? In this podcast, you'll learn the differences between a 66 and 110 punch tool, the proper way to install a support cable, along with testing and certifying the cable. What exactly does RCDD stand for? Registered Communications Distribution Designer. Just the expert you need to ensure your cable plant performs exactly as designed. The elite professional, knowledgeable, and experienced in leading-edge ICT design principles. So join us as we talk about the ever-changing world of telecommunications. From ISP to OSP, from copper to fiber, design to installation. Now, send the new guy to the truck for a bucket of dial tone and the cable stretchers, while you listen to an informative program on telecommunications.
Welcome to the show where we answer the tough questions from estimators, project managers, installers, customers, from your favorite RCDD, me. If you're watching this on YouTube, would you mind giving us a thumbs up and subscribe? If you're listening to us on podcast, please send us a 5-star rating. If not, email me. Tell me what I could do better to make it 5-star. Those two little tips help us to beat that nasty algorithm so we can get this message out to more people and get more people prepared and trained in the ICT industry. If you like this channel and you want to support this channel, you can do it through Patreon. You can do it through PayPal. You can do it through Amazon links. While this show is free, it does cost money to produce it. If you want to help cover those costs, then look up those links. By the way, you can find those links on our webpage at letstalkcabling.com under the support tab. You can also find all of our content, the audio podcast and the YouTube podcast. So let's get on with the show. So today we have George Humphrey with us today. George is probably one of my best fans. He's always downloading the show, always doing comments. He's almost on every single live after hours Q&A session, always hit me with the good, tough questions. Welcome to the show, George.
Good to be here, Chuck.
How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So today I wanted to talk to you about your certification. Right. But before we talk about your certification, can you give us a little bit of just a short 30-second, 45-second intro of who you are and your interest in the technology world?
Yes, my name is George Humphrey. I was interested in becoming a certified A+ by CompTIA when it became available. At first, I just was an amateur at it. Learning, growing up, taking stuff apart, trying to see if I can make it work better or even put it together where it would work correctly. So I took that to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it's funny you said it that way because I think that's how a lot of us actually learn. I remember the first time I did the brakes on my first car, my first hot rod. I jacked up the back end. I took off the drum off of one side, completely tore it apart. But I left the other side together. And then that way, when I put it back together, I got kind of go back and forth. And when I got done, there was no spare parts. So that's how we all learn. So tell us about that A+ certification. What interested you in getting that certification?
All right. So funny story is I went through Career Source Tampa Bay. They're the ones who sponsored me through. It's about I think $1,500 to $2,000 course. They get you the book. It comes actually in 2 books. Then I combined it into 2 books with page protectors and all that, just so the pages last longer. But you go into a classroom. It's at night. It's a month and a half long program. You go in the middle of that, you go for your first exam. It's 80 questions. You get 90 minutes to do that. And there's 2 of them. You must pass both to receive the A+ certification. And in that 90 minutes, there are 5 questions in the beginning. Don't waste your time on the first 5. Come back to those. Those are your simulation questions. How do you you're given a scenario and you got to put together a network or code something to make it work or whatever. Don't waste your time on the first 5. Come back to them. Some questions are there just to see if you know the content or not. Plus, in the questions, if you answer them, it will actually, based on your responses, will give you more of those questions. So it's always learning from what your input is. So also, another thing our instructor said, if you know that's the answer, don't change the answer unless you are absolutely certain about that. So I luckily passed by the skin of my teeth. So it was fun. It definitely humbled me and made me a better IT person and taught me a lot of things that I didn't really know, like virtualization, how to set up a SOHO, small office, home office, networking. And it touches a lot on networking, so, and just general basis. So any other questions?
Oh, I got lots of questions. What are you talking about? So I know that you're currently not working in the IT industry, but you're still using those skills that you learned through your volunteer work at your church, right? Because you're running the tech team and stuff like that, correct?
I am. I do a kids ministry, so I do a little bit on the side as well. So friends will come to me and ask me for help, and I'll do it. And plus, with everything, it's trial and error. Even if you're familiar with it, it's still trial and error.
Right. So would you say that getting that certification has improved your life or didn't make a change in your life?
I say since I'm not working in the industry, with it, it's not really changed my life, I would say, but it enhanced my resume, I'll say. Because a lot of jobs that I see do require you to have a industry certified basics, which is the A+ cert. They're actually 4 of these things. So you have your CompTIA fundamentals. That's just learning how to turn on and off your computer, learning how to use it. Then you got A+, which is taking a deeper dive, taking it apart, putting it back together. Then you have Network Plus, which Chuck is very familiar with. And then you have another one called Security Plus. I am interested in getting my Network Plus, but I'm currently not pursuing that.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you this. How much of that class actually talks about cable and cabling?
I would say whenever you get to the networking portion. So about chapter 7, I believe, or
Would you
8.
would you say that for someone who's currently in the field pulling cable and stuff and they are looking to get in the computer side, they don't want to pull cable their entire life. They want to do what you do. They want to set up computers and set up networks and stuff. Would this be a good step for them?
Absolutely. Would I go back and do it over again? Yes. It has broadened my horizons about computers and networking and all different types of cables, Cat6, the standard for A and B, either for regular or government buildings. I don't want to quote the color scheme because I might get it wrong. So
There's a lot of cable
I
technicians
just,
that if you ask them to quote the color scheme, that they would probably get it wrong.
yeah, that would be me.
So tell me a little bit more about that class. Was it a classroom environment or was it virtual?
It was all classroom. It was done at HCC in Tampa, the Ybor campus. Whenever I went, it was at the Ybor. I forget, but it was at their like they do a whole bunch of stuff there. CPR classes. They do nursing. They had rooms, but the main one that I was in for was a CompTIA A plus, and you go in. It's at night 6 to 9, 6 to 8.
And for those that don't know, HCC is Hillsborough Community College, which has campuses all across Hillsborough County in West Central Florida. So that's actually a good way to pursue the class. And you took the classes before COVID, correct?
I did.
Okay.
The classes were before COVID. It was actually in 2019, actually, at the end of November, December timeframe. And this certification is good for 3 years. And also, you don't have to retake the exam. I'm actually going to do the IC credits, so or CU credits, continuing education, and you don't have to do the exam again. It just renews your certification for another 3 years. So you can go to CompTIA's website, CompTIA.org, I believe, and then you can sign up for CertMaster and learn from there. Also, CertMaster is a good tool even if you don't have A+. You can also use it to learn the ropes of the test and all that. So on the day of the test, there are 2 of them, like I said. You get an hour and a half to take 80 questions. So you walk in the building. The building that I was at was actually on Davis Island, the HEC Test Center, but they moved it to the place where I was. So I was actually the last test in that test center. And you go in, you at the register desk, you sign up your name and all that. They already have your test set up. Then they take you to another computer, and then they take your picture, which ultimately ends up on your a certificate. Not really your certificate over here, but more on your test sheet that you get. It's more for accountability reasons. They don't want you taking an exam for another person. That would be cheating, and they frown upon cheating. So it's very hard to cheat because you're in a room, glass window, camera on every station, so you can't get away with anything.
Well, not that you should. I mean, you want to pass that exam with your own knowledge and stuff, because it's a bigger sense of accomplishment if you do it that way. How many continuing education credits do you need to get to maintain that certificate?
Oh, I think it's like 24, I believe,
Over a 3-year period?
over a 3 year.
Okay.
So they give you a lot of time.
Do they charge you for those classes, for those CEUs?
They do on CertMaster. You can do it all on CertMaster. I think it's like under $200 for CertMaster. So I'm going to actually start doing that since it's 2021 and my certificate expires December of 22. So
So you said that was called Serve Master?
CERT.
Oh, Cert Master. Okay. So what, that's like a subscription based thing where you pay a one-time fee and you take all kinds of classes?
One time they give you a full year to complete it. If within that year you don't complete it, your credits will still count, but you would have to pay for it again.
So what's your next step after you're going to get this renewed, right? Do you have plans on pursuing more certifications after this in the ICT industry or the computer industry?
I do. The Network Plus. I'm not really good at math, so the Network Plus is math intensive because you gotta know binary and all that, the formula for subnetting and all that. Subnetting is the hardest, honestly. I've tried practice tests, and subnetting is probably the more difficult subject topics in networking. Oh, and by the way, it's what local area network.
Oh, you're talking about my acronym challenge. For those who don't know, if you follow me on LinkedIn every morning at 8:10, I do an acronym challenge. And today's acronym challenge was LAN. And it obviously means local area network, which somebody who has an A plus certification should know that, right, George?
Correct. But do you know what MAN stands for?
Metropolitan area network. And that's one coming up later in the week. So shh, don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody.
How about
That's why the acronym challenge works. It starts off Monday with an easy one, and then they get progressively harder until Fridays gets really hard. If any of you last week was frequencies, right? And then to the tail end of the week was some pretty difficult ones.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
So last week I went to the can. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do. I do know what that means.
Sam, pan,
Yes, I know what all those mean.
of course, with a Bixie RCDD.
So do you plan on ever trying to get any cable certifications?
I would like to one day be a regional communication distribution designer, I believe.
An RCDD,
Yeah,
a registered communications distribution designer. You have to have at least 5 years of experience to sit for that exam. There's a whole plethora of requirements that you got to go through, but most people don't start off right straight with their RCDD. They start off with getting like an installer or installer C or installer F or technician, kind of work the way up, because the RCD test is not an easy test. It wasn't an easy test for me. So what else do we need to know about your certification? What else? Words of wisdom do you want to impart with somebody who's considering getting their certification?
do it. Just go for it. I mean, they're going to prepare you for the test before you even take the test. Also, there was somebody in my class that took notes. He's an engineer. He works in Tampa for a almost a dispatch center for traffic. He's a traffic control dispatcher, not for airplanes, but for roadways and all that. And he took notes like crazy. He was almost taking notes like he was going to rewrite the book. But no matter how much notes you take, does not really prepare you for the exam. He took the exam a couple of times and did not pass. So I try to stay in contact with him. Last time I heard, this was about 6 months ago. He still hasn't passed. So it definitely is a tricky exam. It'll ask questions just to trip you up and reword questions to make it seem right, but it's really wrong. So, and plus it's a learning exam. The more questions you take, the more it will build an algorithm to kind of like not really pass you, but to test your knowledge and see how well you actually know the subject they're trying to come across, actually. And the book is actually about 2,000 pages, I believe. So there's a lot of information to study.
Yeah, the TDMM is about 2,000 pages as well. So that's a lot of information to know and memorize and stuff. Did you use any study prep aids to help you pass the test, or did you just go straight from the class into the test?
Believe it or not, I just went straight from the class into the test.
Oh, wow.
I did take some notes. On the second exam, I don't know if you want to publish this, but on the second exam, you had to have a passing score of 700, and I passed with a 700.
Pass is pass. That pass is pass.
So it's that difficult. I know. It's a pass or fail test, and I passed them both. So
there you go.
that's all that counts. That's all the job will see and all that. They won't go into detail of my score or anything. They'll just see a pass or a fail.
Right. What's your favorite podcast?
Let's talk cabling.
Who's your favorite podcast host?
Chuck Bowser.
Well, I appreciate you being on today, and I appreciate you listening to the show, and I appreciate you being an active participant in the community.
I love it. I love your content. It's so enlightening. Even if I'm at work, like one day I was working for UPS, and I still managed to jump on.
I just envision you in the UPS truck with your phone up watching the after hours live thing.
I had you in my AirPods with it sitting in a cradle. So when I wasn't jumping off the truck, I was watching you and commenting as well. So
yes, you were. Yes, you were. That's why I called you one of my biggest fans. All right, buddy. I appreciate you.
So leave a rating so we can help even more people learn about telecommunications. Until next time, be safe.